welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Kat. I'm a registered dietitian, and today, you guys, oh my gosh, I had a comment left on a previous video. There's just a lot in there that I wanted to unpack because I have seen some people who really don't trust registered dietitians, and this is not something new. A lot of times people who fall for a lot of nutrition related MLM scams, they'll follow specific kind of doctors or specific dietitians or nurses, pretty much any licensed health professional. There always are going to be people who have different relationships with different companies, and even with everything going on in the world, you have a lot of people who are putting their trust into people who have a lot of money and not a lot of science background. There's a lot of like absolutes in here, and I'm not going to comment on all of the people who have anything negative to say, but I just wanted to talk about this one specifically because I'm tired of the world not trusting licensed health professionals and going to internet gurus and just people who just need to pay a fee, be 18 years old or older, and then just sign up, pay for a starter kit or an online certification they can do in a weekend or something of that nature. So yeah, let's go ahead and just jump on in, and this won't be a really long one. It'll just kind of be me kind of talking through it. Okay, cool. Let's go. So this, I'm gonna pop up a picture. This is the specific comment that I'm referring to. It says, people, please don't trust RDs. RDs either have the most outdated info and practice or are just plain corrupts. They follow corrupted evidence-based nutrition from the academy. They still think eating fat is bad and are okay with carbs and sugar. The academy receives money from Coca-Cola, Wendy's, Wrigley's, etc. RDs are carb pushers, even if it's bad for you. Man, there is so much to unpack here, but I am here for it. I am excited to talk about this. So I'm gonna take it kind of sentence by sentence, and I'm gonna kind of move stuff around because I feel like a middle sentence should really be like with the last sentence. But anyway, so first off, I did want to say that I don't recommend trusting anybody just 100% blindly. There is a point where you like do need to trust them. One of the roles of clinical dietitians, and I started my career as a clinical dietitian in a hospital, and I did cover part of the ICU, and part of that job is to really be in charge of their nutrition in tube feeding, and also TPN, which is just kind of the glucose and the amino acids and the fat going directly to their vein. You're not going to have somebody in a hospital, in an ICU, unconscious on a vent for X amount of time and just not have them have any kind of nutrients. That is the job of the registered dietitian. And so to just blindly say don't trust RDs is just, it's kind of conspiracy theory-esque. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing. So RDs either have the most outdated info and practice or are just plain corrupt. So I'm gonna talk about the outdated info a little bit later, but I wanted to hit on that corrupt part. So I actually looked up the definition of corrupt because I know it's a bad thing, but I didn't know the actual definition. So it says having or showing a willingness to act dishonestly in return for money or personal gain. So I can only speak for myself. I think in every different job field, you're going to have people who are corrupt. I feel like the majority of them are not going to be corrupt, and are there corrupt ones? I don't think I know any of them personally, and you can kind of argue that if somebody is saying that they're not corrupt, then if somebody is corrupt truly, then they wouldn't say that they're corrupt. So I don't know how to respond to that, but I will say that I don't think I have shown or I don't have a willingness to act dishonestly in return for money or personal gain. I would not, how do I say this? I'm not rolling in dough. My husband's job allows me to have a lot of flexibility and freedom, and I appreciate that so much. I think if I were really corrupt, I could have turned things over for that personal gain and for like the money side, but yeah, I drive a Kia right now, so And that was actually like a gift. So there's you guys, so that is actually one of, I mean, I'm fine, we're fine. But one of the reasons why I'm working really hard on my YouTube channel is so that I can start to monetize it, because I would rather take that money from large businesses, those advertisers who want to pay that money to advertise, more so than people who don't have that same amount of money. It bothers me because I do so much, even nutrition counseling, nutrition consulting on a sliding scale or on a pay as you need kind of thing. It's really, I'm kind of a pushover sometimes. And I don't know if I want to like say this, I don't know how much I'll edit this out, but I'll just say that I would rather help somebody truly with their relationship with food and their relationship with body. I would rather do that and work with them with what they would want and be able to pay, more so what they would be able to pay, rather than just completely be like, bye, you can't afford that one-on-one time, then like, here's Weight Watchers or whatever. Like, I want to keep people away from those kind of predatory and just really harmful kind of nutrition scams. And so, yeah, I would not say that I'm corrupt, but again, if somebody was corrupt, would they really say that? Okay, so the next part, I'm excited to talk about this because they mentioned that dietitians still think eating fat is bad. So I'm gonna show you some of the fat that I have in my house, and this is not all of it. I'm pulling it over, I have it all laid out. So I'll start with this shredded coconut. Now I use Thrive Market, this is not sponsored. I've used Thrive Market for probably like 5-6 years now, and it's been really helpful, especially with everything going on. I try to stay inside as much as possible. And the only time I've been out has been for groceries, but I use Thrive Card a lot. So when I am using coconut, I like to make sure that it is just coconut. It doesn't have any added sugar. So the ingredients on here, you can't see it or read it, but it says organic coconut. That's it. It's just coconut. I like to add it to oatmeal or into shakes or smoothies or into little energy balls. It's just an awesome additional fat source. Another kind of fat source that I have is, this is my favorite kind of peanut butter, Santa Cruz organic, crunchy, dark roasted peanut butter. And whenever I'm looking for peanut butter, I haven't opened this one yet, I like crunchy and creamy. But whenever I'm looking for peanut butter, I want the ingredients to only be peanuts and some salt maybe too to help it taste a little bit better. So this one, the ingredients are organic roasted peanuts, and it contains 1% or less of salt. It doesn't have to be organic. Most of the things I buy are from Thrive Market, and so it just kind of comes with the territory. But this is my favorite kind of peanut butter. It's the best tasting peanut butter that I've ever tried, and it's just peanuts. It doesn't have any added sugars or anything. So that is another really great tasting fat source. Another fat that is also from Thrive Market is this ghee. Now I love using ghee to cook with. I think it tastes amazing. So it is butter, but it's just clarified. So it has any kind of proteins that are in butter. It's been taken out, and it's just that the fat part. So it's an awesome fat to use if you want to cook things at a higher temperature. And speaking of butter, this is actually my favorite kind of butter. Now I did get this at the grocery store. Kerrygold is Irish butter. It's made from milk from grass-fed cows. It is the best tasting butter that I have ever tried. And you can see mine is almost out. And I also, this is another kind of ghee. It actually has coconut oil and ghee in it, and it's just 100% unrefined organic coconut oil, and then organic clarified butter from milk from grass-fed cows as well. So this one's I haven't opened yet because I don't need to, because I have the other ghee open. Another thing from Thrive Market, so can't see that, almond butter, and the ingredients, it's just one ingredient. This doesn't even have salt added. It is just almonds. So another great fat option. Speaking of Kerrygold, I know I just talked about the Kerrygold butter. They actually also have amazing tasting cheese. This is also a way that I like to get in some fat and some protein too. This one is aged cheddar. And again, this is imported from Ireland. Aged cheddar is amazing. This one, it's been aged for 12 months. It's really rich and really creamy. and you really don't need very much to feel really satisfied. So this is something that I enjoy so much. Okay, so another oil I like to use is avocado oil. I think I ordered this from Thrive Market as well, but this is just another option that I like. You can really use this at higher temperatures, so when you're like sauteing veggies or anything of that nature. And then whenever I'm wanting some kind of salad dressing for my salad, I like to use olive oil mixed with balsamic vinegar. And so I just have olive oil. I usually don't cook with this, but I more so eat it on top of veggies. And then another kind of fat that I cook with sometimes is also lard. Now this is from pasture-raised bacon, or bacon from pasture-raised pigs, and I just saved some of the drippings. And surprisingly, a lot of people don't know, but it actually has less saturated fat than butter does, and it also has more monounsaturated fat than butter does. So lard is actually just another way that you can get in more flavor and more animal fats if that is something that you want. It's not necessary, of course, but a lot of cultural food will use that. And so that's just another kind of fat. You can already see I use lots of fat. We use lots of fat in this house. And then just, of course, all of my seeds, or nuts and seeds. I have some cashews, I was gonna say watermelon, walnuts, and some almonds. And then I have this like raw unsalted sunflower seeds. I'm like losing it right now. Then those aren't all of my nuts and seeds. I have more, but I just didn't, they're kind of bulky to bring. And then I have some Brazil nuts. Now, Brazil nuts are awesome for giving you some healthy fats, but they are also a really good source of selenium. And so just having a couple every once a week, once, twice a week, couple of days is it's something that I usually do, and I love the taste of Brazil nuts. So it's just another fat option. So I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned, of course, like I also have, I don't know if you can see that, I also have coconut oil, organic virgin coconut oil. I'm recording another video right now, and I remembered that I forgot this in the video that you're currently watching, and I don't know how I forgot this, because this is literally like my favorite kind of fat. So I have all of my avocados that I have right now here, and I could not post this video without saying how much I love avocados. I eat them almost every day, at least half most days, sometimes a whole avocado. And so yeah, there's just another fat. There's my cat. Okay, bye. The point of that was just to show you that I actually don't know of dietitians who do have a problem with fat. I think maybe a long time ago in like the 90s or the 80s, there was this push, or I know there was a push for low fat. Now, when you actually look at the medical releases and all of that and this was not just coming from dietitians, this was also coming from doctors, nurses, so like, come on. We're not in the 90s anymore though, thank goodness. And I'm sure some people also said eliminate, I'm sure, but it was mostly, when I look at like what they were saying back then, they were saying to reduce the amount of fats that you're consuming. Now, what happened was a lot of food producers were wanting to make food that would get sold, and so the public was hearing that you shouldn't have as much fat, and so what the food producers were doing was actually decreasing the fat, and so it wasn't tasting as good, and so they increased the amount of added sugar. And this has brought us to where we're at today. Now, I think it is a little bit unfair to say that that was completely on the medical system, on doctors, on dietitians, and all of that. But I can say that they did have a part in that. And I think it would have been better if they wouldn't have this is why, even with nutrition counseling, nutrition coaching, you never should say, don't do this. Because that person will do something different, but you can't expect that something different to be something good. And so that's kind of what happened. There was that messaging to reduce the fat, And it didn't say to increase added sugars, but that's just what happened. That's how the food producers were able to make the food taste good. So there's that. The next part talks about how they still think that, or they're still okay with carbs and sugar. Now, this is something that I agree with. I am okay with carbs. Carbs can be very healthy. They can help with your digestive system, with all of the great fiber within them. Sweet potatoes are some of my favorites. Quinoa, even nuts and seeds have carbohydrates within them. Bananas or watermelons, actually, I just said that earlier, but that's actually one of my favorite fruits. Pineapple. And it's funny because they say carbs and sugar, but I don't think they've taken a nutrition class because sugar is a carb. So it's kind of redundant to say carbs and sugar. Yeah, there's that. But what's funny though is that if you just take a biochemistry class, you learn how much the body actually uses carbohydrates or uses that glucose, and how this is why a good example of this is a ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet is not high protein. It's high fat and moderate protein and very, very low carbs, right? Like just putting that aside. So when you're talking about the protein, ketogenic dieters, they know if they're doing it correctly, there is a limit to how much protein they should be getting, they need to be getting in order to stay in ketosis. Because if you have too much, if you go over that threshold of protein, your body is going to be tapped out on those amino acids. It's not going to be able to utilize them as it would if you were, one, spacing it out, but also if you go over the amount that it needs. And so what the body does, and it's really incredible, but it goes through something called gluconeogenesis. So that legitimately stands for new glucose creation. So you can't just come out here and make a comment saying that like carbs are bad, or it is bad because this group of people think that carbs are okay, because your body literally goes through gluconeogenesis if it has too much protein because it doesn't have those other carbs. And I'm sure most people are aware of this. Most people don't think that carbs are bad. I think most people are okay with carbs. Again, everything is within context. So dietitians are required to take biochemistry 1, biochemistry 2, and before then you're taking OChem or organic chemistry 1 and 2 in the labs. And then before that, you also have regular general chemistry. You also have the biology, anatomy, physiology. So there's a lot of science that goes into even being able to take biochemistry and having all those prerequisites. But anyway, I don't think that most people think that carbs are bad. I think most people are okay with carbs. Whenever somebody gets into a mindset of all or nothing, that's a recipe for disaster, because that is not sustainable. That is just not realistic, especially when you bring it out on a whole. It would be great if we could give somebody this meal plan and tell them exactly what to eat, when to eat, all of this stuff. But that takes that human piece outside of nutrition. That doesn't take into account their culture, doesn't take into account the fact that we can get joy from food. We are not robots, and we shouldn't need to approach food in that like good, bad, all or nothing kind of thing. That leaves zero room for context. And that's pretty much what's wrong with the world. That humanity piece is so important when you're talking about having a healthy relationship with food. And that is one reason why I never just put somebody on a diet. It's so much more work than that. It's so much deeper work than that. And to reduce it to say, this is good, this is bad, absolutely zero need for context is really irresponsible and really just, it's not evidence-based at all, especially when you're talking about more of the behavior side. We are not just taking that science approach, but we're also pairing that together with the behavior side approach and with more of that psychology side approach. And so I'm never gonna just be focused on this side. There is a time and place for that. But when you're talking to the public, when you're doing nutrition consulting, counseling, nutrition therapy, you really need to take into account that behavior side and that psychological side. So yeah, I'm a carb pusher. Every time I hear pusher, I think of Mean Girls.
Because I'm a pusher. I push people.
And I am 100% okay with that. I am okay with being a carb pusher. Wow. Yeah. So the last main portion of it, I wanted to mention that this person talks about following corrupted evidence-based information from the academy or having like outdated information. So on the corrupted side, there are more than one nutrition like organizations. You don't have to be a member of the academy. You don't have to take any information from them. You don't have to use them for resources. I know of other organizations and groups that have popped up from the academy doing some problematic things, and I am part of those groups as well. And so I don't know if this person thinks that you have to follow like academy guidelines or whatever. And I know a few years ago they were really under fire, and I remember I signed a petition to get those food producers their donations, like to stop it. I'm not sure where that is at right now. I'm not really invested or involved because that's not where I get my information from. So I don't know what to say about that part. All I know is that there are so many other nutrition organizations that dietitians can be a part of and support one another and just have that kind of interaction with outside of that. So yeah. So the last part, I wanted to give you guys some information if you ever want to look up kind of more information on nutrition, if you have some questions or anything like that. There's a website that I love to use. I refer to it so often, and the majority of people I know who use this website are also RDs, which kind of makes the comment of having outdated resources or research very funny. So it is Examine, and I'm going to put up a picture and read who they are and kind of what they provide, because I want to give you that information that you can see that I am following these updated resources, because I think it's important. I want to have that trust. I want to build that trust. And I know that I can't get your trust without showing you that like my actions, and part of that is where I get my research from, and where if I have a question, I'll go to. Now this is not the only place I go to, but this is just one of those places that I really appreciate and I love and I'm a member of, and so I'll read from here. So examine.com is the largest database of nutrition and supplement research on the internet. It was founded in early 2011, and their mission is to analyze a full body of evidence to help you make healthy choices. As an educational organization, they are not affiliated with any supplement or food company, nor are any members of our research team. That is very important, and I appreciate that so much. All of our evidence summaries are fully referenced on topics ranging from popular supplements like fish oil and vitamin D to more controversial nutrition topics like soy or saturated fat. They also take evidence-based approach to common questions their readers ask, such as the optimum amount of daily protein and the evidence or lack thereof for common nutrition myths and fads such as detoxes. So you can see they already have my heart. If they are talking about these nutrition myths and nutrition scams, fads like detoxes, you're gonna have part of my heart. And then when the research is mixed, they tell you that too. One of their goals is to break down and make sense of research. Not only do they not sell any supplements, but they also don't recommend any brands, nor do they get any consulting or accept advertisements, donations, or sponsorships. They are 100% independent and extremely serious about being unbiased when it comes to nutrition and supplement information. And this is why millions of people use them as a source. A lot of health professionals will go to this website and have membership with it. Again, most of the people I know who use this website are registered dietitians. So let's continue on. So at the very bottom, this all I'm reading because there's a lot to read. So 100% of their revenue is generated from additional research synthesis that they sell to both health professionals and lay people. All the information on the website is freely accessible, and these additional informational products are meant for those looking for added depth and step-by-step instruction. So hi, that's me. And they do not allow, again, donors, sponsors, consulting clients, advertisements, affiliations, and they have a very strict no gift policy for any staff members. Even books that are sent their way are simply deposited into recycling. They have, this just keeps getting better. They have unbiased information, and they are not influenced by commercial interests, product manufacturers, any other organization, and they will not advertise products or brands. No donations, third-party funding, sponsorship of any kind. 100% of their revenue is generated through information products. And this is the big portion. Becoming a member will give you over 150 new studies every month. So for that specific comment of outdated information, I feel like you can decide who is outdated with what they're saying. Maybe this person has really bad experience with somebody using that outdated information, but I think this is like the third time that I say it. Most of the people I know on this website who utilize this website are dietitians, and so yeah, there's that. I think that was it. I'm gonna need to get a shirt that says, "Hello, my name is Carb Pusher." I think that would be hilarious. And again, I am more than okay with carbs. I think carbs taste amazing. They can be really great for energy. They can really help digestive health overall. And side note, when you have carbs, you really do want to pair them with a healthy source of protein or healthy source of fat to really balance out the blood sugar levels, rather than just eating that on its own and having that blood sugar kind of roller coaster going on. And that's kind of a whole nother topic. I just kind of wanted to get my ideas out there. Now that I'm reading that comment, it looks really conspiracy theory-esque. But just in case anybody was a little confused by it, that's it. So, all right guys, I will see you later. Bye.